Hello, hello. Happy Monday. And let me turn this up so I can hear you all. So I've got a really interesting topic for you all today. We're going to talk about self-sabotage and why we let it creep into our lives and how it affects our progress. So what's self-sabotage? So here's the definition of self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is when we active or passively take steps to prevent ourselves from reaching our goals. This behavior can affect nearly every aspect of life, whether it's in a relationship, in our careers, or a business goal, such as weight loss. So I'd like you to take a moment here and just kind of pause and think of some areas of life where you self-sabotage. Is it in your weight loss goals? Is it in getting your workouts? Could it be relationships with other people? Like, single people often they'll serial date, or, some people will have marriage after marriage after marriage after marriage, things like that. So I invite you, if you're watching the replay, to take a moment here and just kind of stop and reflect on some areas in your life where you are self-sabotaging. So how do you define self-sabotage? And what's it look like for you in your life? And if you're honest for a moment, how's it keeping you from fulfilling your goals in the different areas of your life? So self-sabotage, what is it? What is it really? I mean, sometimes it's not really easy to pinpoint in our lives that we're actually self-sabotaging, because often the results of our self-sabotage are things that show up down the line. So I like to, I've heard it described this way, like a dog. So when you get a dog, especially puppies, so let's say you leave and your dog has separation anxiety, and when you leave, the dog tears up the blinds, but you return a few hours later and see the blinds are all torn up. Here's the thing, because you can't scold the dog for tearing up the blinds for something he did a few hours before. This also counts for like messes. We come home and we find out the dog had an accident, but we don't know when the dog had the accident, and you come home and yell. The dog doesn't know why you're yelling at him, because he isn't making the connection between what he did, the actions, tearing up the blinds or having the accident, and what you're scolding him about. So that's how self-sabotage works. Often we're doing these things, but we're not connecting the dots between how our actions are affecting our long-term goals. So here's an example of somebody who's classically self-sabotaging, and maybe you've said this to yourself. Oh my God, I just don't know why this is so hard for me, because I can never seem to reach my goals. Classic, there's signs of self-sabotage there. So what are some different types? What can self-sabotage look like in our lives? So it can be a couple different things. Procrastination, putting off things like our workout, or I'll start again on Monday. Perfectionism, this is all, if I can't do it 100% right, I'm not going to do it at all. Black and white thinking, like I'm either on diet or off diet, not leaving that middle ground there. I'm either eating good foods or bad foods, looking at foods as healthy or unhealthy. And procrastination and perfectionism, they tend to go hand in hand, because often our perfectionistic tendencies lead us to procrastinate doing things. Making a change in life, having a hard time moving forward. So this could be drinking enough water. It could be taking the tedious steps of tracking your macros and your calories and your food. You're having a hard time getting past our old ways of doing things. It could also be trying to reach your calories. So let's say we're so used to, we go on a diet and we think it has to be 1,200 calories to get results. And so that's a form of self-sabotage, is sticking with our old ways of thinking. Lack of self-care, not taking time for yourself, causing yourself to run into the ground. And it just drains on time and energy. So instead of taking time to plan out your meals for the day, we're on social media sharing posts and things like that. So I'd like you to think back. So why did you decide to sign up for coaching? Why are you here? What brought you here into to the coaching? And if this title sounded really good to you today, what drew you to watch this video? You need to know why, because so that you can move forward with intention, and so that we can start to become aware of some of our self-sabotaging tendencies. So do any of these sound familiar? I'm going to bet they do. I can stick with it during the week, but as soon as the weekends roll around, oh my gosh, I just go off track. Whenever I'm stressed, my health and fitness goals just, I'm not even thinking of them. I'm just in the moment. My long-term goals disappear. Wine and Oreos seem like the best option at the moment. I can't go out with my friends and keep up with my goals. It's too hard. Or this one can be too. Sometimes we just can't put a finger on it. You know, I don't even know why or what I'm doing. I just keep holding myself back. So today we're going to talk about awareness and growth versus a fixed mindset a bit. So a growth mindset is one where, well, let's start with a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset tends to be all or nothing thinking. It is the thinking that there's a right way, a wrong way. It's also a mindset where we really don't believe we can change, that somehow our fate or our ability to succeed is predetermined, or because we failed before, we're going to fail again. So a growth-minded, a fixed-minded mindset also, this is failure is like a catastrophe. It means it's all over, we screwed up, screw it, go back to our old ways. Whereas a growth mindset, I like to call it a thriving mindset, is one where we learn from failures, that we don't like it. We embrace our failures because we're able to take lessons out of it. We believe in our ability to change. We believe that things can keep getting better as we go on, and we don't really feel limited. So that's a growth mindset or a thriving mindset, which I fully embrace. So let's talk about awareness. So here's the thing, and this is probably one of the biggest things I find clients have resistance around, because you can't change what you don't know needs changing, or you can't change what you need to prove. So we have to go beyond thinking, my health and fitness needs to change. We need to kind of think about what's behind, what's going on, it's causing us not to reach our goals. So most of our problems aren't really problems. It's actually a lack of awareness as to what's causing the problems. So being overweight, overeating, those are never really the problem. There's always something a few steps back that create these problems, and it's simply a lack of awareness, knowing our triggers. So have you ever found yourself saying, I hardly even knew it was happening till it's over? It could be you, like, let's say we go to a party and you're overeating, and you're at this party, there's tons of different foods, and you're going in thinking, I am going to eat healthy. And the next thing you know, you're into everything. Everything was so good. And, you know, we push blame off onto somebody else. Well, so-and-so was being so pushy. They were pushing the food and the wine on me. So here's the thing, I can't plan for something like this when I don't know it's going to happen. So it's a big issue, right? So having alternate plans in place. So, say I really wanted to go to the gym, but then friends called and wanted me to go out. Or I really wanted to work out today, but my mom called and I was on the phone. Things like that. I really wanted to work out today, but my dad's in the hospital. So there's always kind of things that are going to go on because life isn't perfect, right? It's not going to go smoothly. We're always going to have things getting in the way. So the reality of the thing is that our self-sabotaging behavior, it didn't come in out of nowhere. So think about people, things, times a day, places that tend to trigger you and set you into the motion of your self-sabotage. Because remember, it's never that sabotaging behavior that's the real problem. Let's go back a few more steps to what you're thinking it. Basically, what's going on in these moments is that we're turning off our self-control and turning on that instant gratification button. So here's the good news. This is predictable. These are somewhat predictable habits we have. We have predictable patterns. I think you'll find there's certain days of the week where you tend to go overboard with your eating, or certain times of day that trigger you to want to grab that glass of wine, certain people, certain things. And when these triggers happen, our ability to make deliberate decisions, well, hell, it goes out the door, right? So a different part of our brain actually takes over in this moment. A lot of people like to call it our lizard brain, or our like caveman brains. It's the part of our brains that's seeking instant gratification. So like I said, this is predictable if we think about it. So self-sabotage, it doesn't come out of nowhere. There's usually something that sets off the domino effect. And you know what happens with the dominoes? They keep on falling. So the key is to start working back and work on that first domino that keeps the other dominoes from falling. So self-sabotage habit occurs because basically we have thoughts, patterns, and habits that we've developed over time. 54 years old here. I've had 54 years to develop some. They are hard to unlearn. They are harder to unlearn the older we are. That's just a fact. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It just makes it a little more difficult, kind of like weight loss and building muscle as we get older. Not impossible, but it is a little harder for us. Our mindset, like I talked about, fixed and growth mindset, and just lack of awareness. So with our thoughts and habits, it's really quick. It's really easy to fall back into old patterns, our action patterns, because we have certain thoughts around certain things. So let's say it's Friday at 5 and you always go grab a glass of wine because this is what I always do, right? So that's a thought and habit pattern. So start looking in your life for consistent patterns. So like we come home stressed and we drink the wine. My husband says something that sets me off. The boss is micromanaging. My kids say something. There's all kinds of things. We see the scale in the morning and it didn't go the direction we want. So we say, screw it. And our all or nothing thinking kicks in. Mindset is important. And this is where belief comes in. So do you really believe you can make different choices? Do you really believe you can respond differently? Or do you really believe that you can't change? This is who you are and what you do. So even if you slightly think this, if you slightly think that you can't get over the hump or you can't change this pattern, it's going to create a wall. And I promise you, you won't get over that wall as long as you keep it up. But We can get around these things. I promise you. I promise you that. But here's the thing. Awareness is where it all begins. So recognize why your dominoes fall the way they do. So with that, I am going to share my screen here. Desktop. And this is a little thought exercise for you all to go through. And I want you to do it. And I'd love for you to either post in the group or to share it in your Apatio check-in with me. So how do you engage in acts of self-sabotage in your health and fitness goals or otherwise? So again, I put the definition of self-sabotage up here at the top. So I'm not gonna read that again. But I want you to answer these questions and take some time, like set aside some time to really do this. When do you get in your own way? Is it a certain time of day? And then where? Is it when you're traveling, when you're out with friends? Is it in the kitchen, when you're out to dinner with a specific person? And with who? Who are you self-sabotaging with? Is it friends, family? You know, you have somebody who's an ass and it sets you off. And then think, and this is a really thinking one. Why are you doing it? Why do you go down the rabbit hole of the behavior? Is it something that makes you feel good in the moment, like instant gratification, like, oh my God, that chocolate's so good. Those Oreos taste so good, they calm me down instantly. Are you not really fully committed? And this can be okay because maybe the goal you've set is too lofty and we need to think about downgrading those goals for you. Because a lot of times we set these high achieving goals based on what's going on around us rather than what's going on inside us. That's why I always focusing on the journey, on the process of what we're doing versus the end result. Because if you focus on the process, you're going to celebrate your wins more often. You're just going to be happier along the way, and you're going to be able to be proud of yourself more often. But, you know, think about those little backhanded comments you might get from people that set you on a journey to lose weight. Maybe the doctor told you something and you're not quite buying into it. Maybe you're not buying in. This is a big one with water, surprisingly. A lot of people really don't believe water is going to help them in their goals. There's something deep down that keeps them from thinking that something as simple as water can help us get where we want to go. So we don't drink our water. So are you fully committed to doing what you say you're going to do? And then, do you really believe in yourself? Do you really believe you're able to change? And do you believe you can actually do it? So I believe you can, and I know it's possible. I've seen hundreds of people do it. I've done it myself, but you have to be able to believe it. And, you know, you might have that thing in the back of your mind that, you know, I can't do it anyway, so why try? So I want you to dig deep and see if that's something really going on back there. And I want you to know that this is not meant to feel comfortable. In fact, you should feel quite uncomfortable doing this. It shouldn't be easy work, because if it's easy, we'd all be where we want to be right now, right? So it's not meant to be comfy. And if it's not comfortable, that's actually a good thing, because discomfort allows us to grow in all areas of our life. So just know that. I'm going to stop the share here. And with that, I hope you all have a fabulous day, a fabulous week. I have another Zoom coming up this week. I need to pick the day, but we are going to become nutrition label ninjas. So that's a common question I get. And are foods that label themselves protein really proteins, or is it mainly something else? Because labels are wildly inaccurate and misleading. So we are going to become nutrition label ninjas this week. I hope you have a good week, and I'd love to know what you think of this. So once you watch this video, shoot a message, shoot me a message, post it. I'd love you to post in the group, get the conversation going. But with that, have a great day. I will see you next time. Bye.